Hey, how's it going, traders? So, as I'm sure a lot of you have noticed, we have entered and actually have been for a while, in an extremely bullish crypto market, whatever you want to call it, right? The video title, as you might have seen, is how to actually profit from and make money or whatever during this specific time. And the first thing that you have to understand about making money during a time like this is that it is not new. Okay, opportunities to make money happen every single year, usually within a few months of that year where some industry or some asset or some sector or certain company or whatever it might be is extremely quote unquote hot. All that simply means is that at some point, investors, institutions, large money, so if you want to think about smart money or actual big money, not the bullshit where, things are taking out a high, so it has to go down or whatever, stuff like that. But the serious investors and big investors and people with a lot of money, or people even that like crypto and have a lot of money, there are going to be certain moments during every single year where an asset is invested to very, very heavily. Some years it's going to be a random stock like GameStop. Some years it's going to be a random metal like gold. Other years it'll be random shit like orange juice. Sometimes it'll be something like Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is something that in itself is not new to bull runs or new to actual deliveries, right? I personally caught one of my largest trades ever during this February 2024 rally that happened right here and made a phenomenal amount of money on my own account. And during this exact same time, we had personal members in our team transform and make over $100,000 in personal accounts and raw accounts, right? So we are not new to bull runs. So the question now is, what do you do during a time where an asset actually is delivering or is delivering very well? And if I show you this, that moment during which that happened, right, the market condition we were in was this one right here. It was one of pure delivery to the bullish side. I personally, in my trading and the way that I teach, use a 5, 10, 20, and 50 EMA and then respectively an SMA to orient where I am. And then I use 3 time frames. So this is known as the EVC approach. It's a 3 time frame based approach. It's usually you take an entry time frame, which for me is like a 2-hour, a validation time frame, which is usually a daily for me, and a context time frame, which is usually a weekly. And oftentimes putting these 3 time frames together gives you a very, very good idea of what an asset is doing and if it's worth putting money behind it. So similarly to this time here, where I made a lot of money for myself and so did a lot of our members, this moment here did the exact same thing. This was around October of 2024 up until around November, December of 2024. And then we went into, once again, a resetting, or as I like to call, a reaccumulating market, where price broke down below the moving averages, started going sideways for a while, and when it moved back into accumulation, which happened on Monday, basically, or not Monday, but the 21st of April, 2025, or around that time, so April of 2025, you can see right here, that's when I and my team began to get very, very bullish on crypto again, as in for the longer term or over the next few months. And as you can see right here, we are currently within that few months. We're about 3 months into that move. And since those 3 months, we've actually delivered beautifully to the top side. Now, if I drop down into my validation time frame, that's my daily, and I take a look at this, right? These legs here offered an unbelievable amount of opportunity to crypto traders. The lying part of my title for this specific video is that it's not about the fact that crypto is the thing that's going to make you rich, or the fact that crypto is a thing that you can make all your money on. At the moment of me making this video, it is crypto. But what you need to realize is that just before this, those moments were on a lot of stocks and a lot of assets, was on NASDAQ, was on other markets within the NASDAQ. And currently, as price moves back into this kind of delivery right here, we move back into a very, very one-sided market that produces a ton of opportunity on this crypto, Bitcoin, as well as a ton of little altcoins on the side, which is why if I open up this right here, you'll be able to see one of my personal trades currently, which is currently moving, took a little partial out of it and have the rest kind of managed here. But I've been trading a number of like these random little altcoins and shitcoins because, well, this is the kind of era of crypto. Now, if you think that because it's the era of crypto or crypto's moving up, that it means that you can become a millionaire, it is complete bullshit. You will not be able to do that. But if you understand that the same processes and the same steps create profitable traders that are able to execute their systems in good moments like these and then capture these good moments, then if you take the first step to also capture a good move on something good, then you too can have an edge and have that edge play out over time. So just to give you a very stupid, simple demonstration, here has been my equity curve and my personal trading since, well, actually for about the last 16, it's like 16 months. So it goes all the way back to 2024 of February, where I actually had one of my biggest crypto trades. It's actually up here. And what's really interesting is if we move down to the most recent action, basically over the last, over the last month or so, you can see over this last month, you can see a lot of the assets I've been trading are things like Bitcoin, Aero USD, Syrup USD, Bitcoin, BCH USD, Syrup USD. You can see a lot of the assets. You can see here there's Aave, Sui USD, Bonk USD, right? Extremely random names. Again, I don't even know what these names are. I don't follow anything online. I don't read Twitter. I don't read, I don't listen to my friends who tell me the next special crypto. I don't watch a video hoping that someone tells me what the next special crypto is. Instead, I understand and I'm familiar with how markets move. So what you'll see on my screen here are a bunch of labels. These labels are ones that come directly from the mentfx private portal and mentorship, and I've taught about these countless times on the channel here, and this is literally from the portal material right here on its own. Let me actually go to the case study cheat sheet, if I can open that up for you guys right now. So I'm just looking for the cheat sheet that I can open up, because ultimately what happens is every single asset moves through cycles. And ultimately, the cycle that I want to participate in is what I call the momentum cycle. And simply, the momentum cycle is defined by something like this. These right here are your moving averages. I'm going to leave a link to this, just like I did in the last videos below. So you can literally go and copy this. It'll just be a simple, copy paste photo. If you want more information, you can, of course, join up or watch my other videos. But this is the momentum cycle I look for. And if you notice, crypto itself, Bitcoin USD, has actually just entered that cycle. It went through this MMB 1 and 2 area. That would be this right here, where I assume at the moment, crypto is in one of these moments here where it's about to have its kind of final push or a very nice push higher before resetting to either break down and become choppy or to reset to become a brand new accumulation to continue higher. This is one of the ways that we have continued to analyze crypto as a team within the mentfx mentorship, and why we followed it over and over and over again. Just to make it clear, we followed it during this time here, then we followed it during this point here, and then we followed it during this point here, and now we're following it during this time here, where it's delivering, continuing to deliver, and doing very well. Now, even though this is an asset that's doing very well, it doesn't mean that I got to trade all of it. This right here is not a trade I got to take. This is a trade I shared, just did not take personally, so I missed out on a very big trade. There's beautiful trades throughout this entire thing that work and are really good. For anyone that's not familiar with me, the way that I teach people to buy or get into something is actually through what we call demand validation. And you simply enter through the move that starts creating demand, and you enter through that demand. So you buy into a move as a move exists. This is one of the best ways I personally ever taught, personally used, and personally made money in the markets, as well as shared with many others how to make money in the markets, right? So if I literally open up the like area where we talk with our friends and everyone, the community members or whatever, and we just look through some of the people that have recently completed the material, you will see the same thing on repeat. You will see people that are extremely happy that they were able to complete the material, get their certificate, and their resulting curves from that. And of course, these resulting curves come from many assets, some of which include cryptos. And you have the same thing here, right? It's absolutely beautiful. You have amazing people here that are doing amazing things, and that's just a really cool thing. But the money they make and the success that they have come from a number of assets, because they've understood that we're not here to trade an asset or to think that Bitcoin is the special asset or that crypto is the real key to success. Instead, we understand that money flows in and out of markets over time, nonstop. And all we have to do is look at the playing field and understand where the money is flowing to. The ways that we do that is through exactly this right here. We ask ourselves, where are we on the cycle? Are we within a delivering cycle, or are we just moving sideways and it's not worth watching? And if we are, how can we get behind that entry? So this is the actual entry that I personally use to get behind something. Now, what I want to do in this video is I want to literally show you the steps that I take to define for myself what can be tradable to get into trades just like the one you see right here, so you can also get into trades like this for yourself and find the next big mover. And maybe one of the things we talk about today will help you find that next big mover. So first of all, here is the mentfx screener, or the Omni screener. We have developers that built this out, and it actually screens the entire asset class, or any asset class you want, crypto, ETFs, Forex, crypto, futures, anything you want, to give you, well, the readings of that given asset. Now, again, this is paid. However, there are plenty of screening tools that are available online for free. For instance, for any of you guys using TradingView, just like I personally use to analyze and have all my things on here, if you click this little thing right here, you will see inside of here, you have stock screener, ETF screener, bond screeners, crypto screeners, and you can literally put on your crypto screeners and you can select certain random like things here, and you can go through these to find potential watchers. This is the exact process that I would use if I didn't want to pay anyone for anything and I just want to do everything myself and I'm committed to doing it myself, right? I would go into the description, I would download the PDF of these photos, which, you know, it's going to be hard to understand everything that I do just by looking at the photos, but at least it'll give you something to start looking for. And then remember, all you want to do is look for a purpose or a reason to buy through a high. So you want to see price delivering, price basically to pull back and come down to around the 10 and 20 EMA. And then you want to see price move higher, pause, and you buy through the high. That's it. And you look to make money on this move here. And then if, you know, it becomes a really big runner, it can make a lot more money for you if you hold on or you manage your trade well. So this is literally what you can use right now. If you guys are in this video and watching this, go and use this free screener to go through a number of assets, right? You can just go through them all. These are all cryptos. And the reason going through these cryptos is going to be impactful right now is because right now, like I said a second ago, is a time where crypto has overall, from a story perspective, here we are, moved into a very bullish market. And you can see I even have these drawings here from the Sunday call that we had like yesterday and that we have every single week, where every week that we've shown up, I've been very bullish on this, and a lot of our team has been able for the last 20 days to capitalize on these moves as well as altcoin moves, right? So what I would now expect, even as I make this video, which is, you know, at live price, blah, 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 is simply price will now build another MMB at or around the 5, 10, and 20 average and start another stage 2 higher, or price will continue to make a stage 2 higher. So everything about this asset, right, is currently pointing to the fact that money is coming into it, that money continues, or that there's clear demand for this given asset right here, and that over the next few months, you're going to see this increase in its value, which simply means that altcoins, shitcoins, all these coins are going to have insane bull runs. And on those insane bull runs is where you can personally jump in and for a small area, make a good amount of money. But you're not going to do that if you buy random coins, if you randomly buy coins, and if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're only going to do that through a process, through a step-by-step process, through a process that defines your risk prior to entering, through a process that creates positive risk to reward structures of the trades that you're actually taking. And as a result, by following and doing it multiple times, you end up at a result that looks something like what you see in front of you, where, you know, I'll take a small loss, a nice win, a small loss, a win, a break even, a loss, a few break evens, a tiny win, a break even, a tiny win, a larger win, right, etc. And what happens is over the course of 15 months, 20 months, 30 months, however long you want to think about it, because this is how it works, and over the next few months, you'll be able to trade certain things with good risk. Your losses and your small losses, your break-evens, and your good management keeps you basically safe from the downside of losing your equity. And your winners, and the winners that truly work out, just like this given asset right here is an example, the assets that do work out, and then you enter through your given entry. And as you can see, my entry is not complex. All I'm doing is I'm buying through a high. As crazy as that seems, I am buying a high. And you can see on any given asset, even this one, buy a high, look what happens. 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 This is the same process I've taught my members. This is the same process I'm teaching you. This is the same process that many have used already to get to the points that you're trying to get. And even if we go to Bitcoin, and we go all the way back to when we first traded and when we first had some of our members get their $100,000 paydays, right? I believe it was maybe even further back, right? Yeah, so like back here, it's the exact same thing, right? Nothing has changed. Back in, here you are, 2024, the same thing happened. You buy, stop a high, look what happens. You buy, stop a high, look what happens. You buy, stop a high, look what happens. You buy, stop a high. And the reason this works really well is because when you realize where the trends are or where the money's heading, instead of sitting there worrying about worthless, unbelievable shit on the left of the chart, like random zones and random areas, you start worrying more about what assets are showing insane money coming in, and you get in through those assets. So the last time there was big Bitcoin crypto runs, we made money. The future crypto runs are going to happen, we're going to make money. The future gold runs that happen, we're going to make money because it's a repeatable process. Crypto itself is not something that is special or that is going to change everything, but at the moment, it is something that is currently in a very, very clean market cycle. And as a result, if you're prepared and literally just show up every single day following the correct steps to entering a trade, then you can do pretty well for yourself in times like this. So let's talk about examples of kind of what led to me choosing to trade like this SWI USD thing. How did I actually find it? How do you find things? And what can you personally do? And again, all you have to do is use the link in the description to grab this so you can actually understand the cycles that I'm looking at. So everything that you see me label comes from those exact cycles, right? And then use this simple entry right here, the one I drew for you. Here you are, where price moves higher, breaks down below a 10 and 20, and then starts making moves, and then buy, stop a high, buy, stop a high, buy, stop a high. Let me show you an example right now in front of you for my given trade. Price makes a big move here. It starts building the MMB of a higher time frame, so you can check out that link I gave you. Price then flushes down. This is what I call a flush, comes down through the 10 and 20 EMA, and from there, as it moves higher, it builds demand. And you buy the demand and you get delivery from that. You buy, stop the high, you buy, stop the high, or you buy, stop the high. I buy, stop this high for myself personally because it was the cleanest. I talk about cleanliness or how to determine cleanliness, determining good trades, all this stuff in the mentorship and in my other videos. But very simply, the overall setup, if you notice it, is move higher, break down, move higher, pause, continuation. And if I move this right here and I make it a fat boy, and I make it a red color, you can hopefully see the similarity in exactly what I just demonstrated to you. A move higher, a breakdown to the 10 and 20, a move higher, a buy stop of a high, or a buy stop of a high, or a buy stop of a high. And that's exactly what the setup is here. So if you simply use this setup and then apply it to a number of cryptos or a number of assets, and you look and wait for those assets to deliver, then you can already have a functioning and very powerful strategy that you can start using now. And personally, I'm executing my entries on a 2-hour. However, the way that I teach people to think about timeframes allows you to do this across any time frame whatsoever. If you want to be someone that executes on a 1 minute for whatever reason, you can do that. If you want to execute on a 5 minute, you can do that. There are ratios to what we do. But very simply, for today's principle, we'll be using a 2-hour, a daily, and a weekly. That's what I use personally for my entries. So, like I said, we have entered one of those conditions where at the moment, price is extremely bullish and it's in a bullish cycle. And the delivery of that bullish cycle might not be perfect. It might not look like this. It might also, for whatever reason, because again, we can't determine exactly how prices will deliver. We can just have anticipations, and based on the anticipations, we can then execute if anticipation plays out. But this can also very simply like pause, then break down and take some time here, and then maybe start a bull run later. And again, I'll be back on this thing inside of these areas here to continue this bull run now. But at the moment of me making this video and trying to make you guys all aware of this, we are in a very bullish cycle on this, which means a lot of coins, shit coins, altcoins are going to have beautiful runs. And those beautiful runs are things that you can capitalize on with a simple system like the one I just defined for you, where you don't have to go to an asset and go, okay, I have my resistance, my resistance that became support, resistance that became support, and I got a crazy trend line with a crazy trend line. I'm gonna figure out where it's going. It's like, you do not have to do all these things. Use what I've given you in the link below. Use trend analysis and trend understanding and follow the trend at hand and simply buy into a high. Now, I'm not telling you to go and actually buy things. I'm telling you to learn from what I'm giving you here and then execute upon your own on your own will, because everything I do is educational purposes only, but just keep that in mind as we go forward. So Bitcoin has entered into this beautiful, beautiful condition that it's been in multiple times. Like I said a second ago, the condition was true here, and now we assume the condition is true right now, which is exactly why me, myself, and a lot of the traders that I work with are doing very well at this given moment on cryptos. So the question becomes, what cryptos do I trade? Well, the way you can go about this is you can use something like a free screener in TradingView to go through each thing here and what we call compare it to the cycle of Bitcoin here, or simply look at your 2 hour for your entry and look for a high that gets created to get into a buy, right? And basically, simply look for things that are now creating momentum MBs in their delivery. So I'm going to show you an example of how we can do that. Now, personally, I'm using this screener. There are, like I said a second ago, you do not have to pay our team or join our team to use this screener. You can just use free screeners like this, right? So I want to make that really clear. You don't have to pay. The only reason that people pay me and continue to pay me is because their own profitability becomes much more efficient. They actually learn things, and they learn things after spending years of doing fucking dog shit, okay? So use this if you want, but ultimately, if I open this up right here, this is the Omni screener. And all I've done here, is I've set up a average volume to be at least above 4 mil, because for my account size, it just makes sense to have, like, maybe even make it 5 mil. So again, you can make this much lower. Like if you're trading like lower accounts or smaller accounts and you really want to find that next crypto that goes like 1,000% and 1,000x, this is how you can do it. But I simply set this to a little bit higher because I have a higher account, so I don't want to have liquidity issues. And then what you'll see is I have things here set to see absolute moves of a number of assets. And most importantly, I currently have, if I open the columns here, I have this candle change of an hourly, or actually I can make it of a 2 hour, just like this. And I can set this to around 8 or 10. It doesn't really matter. You can set this to whatever, kind of a smaller number. So you can use 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16, 14, anything around there. But all this is going to do when I press save here is it's going to show me over the last 10 candles what assets had the biggest move from a low to a current move. So check this out. When I press save now, what's going to happen now, if we wait, we press close, right? If we look at this, what you'll see is, look down this list right here, we have a number of assets, so XCN, Omni USD, CIRV, Muden, like already, if you really just want the simple holy grail answer, a lot of these assets in front of you right now are potential watchers for the coming months, because these are things that have already proven to have money behind them. And when things prove to have money behind them, they tend to continue delivering with money behind them, given that the overall story of the market sustains itself, which at the moment, the story is that crypto is extremely strong. It's extremely bullish, right? This is the same thing I used to capture gold when it was extremely bullish. It's the same thing I used to capture USD JPY when it was extremely bullish a few years ago. This is the same thing I'm using currently to capture huge moves in the NASDAQ, because of the fact that it's in the same or similar cycle of pure bullishness. So I use this exact same thing for anything I trade, including cryptos, which is why I'm giving it to you right now so you can truly understand that. Since cryptos are not the thing that's making me money, my system and process is making me money. It just so happens that the system and process is currently best applicable to Bitcoin or to crypto, and I'm trying to teach you and show you all how to do that for yourself. So the Omni Screener provides a list of the things that are moving right now in this moment. Another way we can do this is we can look at the last 30, so this one right here, if I edit this column, this is the last 30 daily candles. So if I go ahead and also filter this by highest to lowest, so this is just the 30 daily candles of what has happened, you can also, here we go, you'll have a number of assets right here, right in front of you. These are assets you can literally go ahead right now and write down on a notebook if you want and follow them over the next month, 2 months, 3 months from the time you see this video, or from the date right here in this video. You will be surprised to see how many phenomenal opportunities will be presented on these things given the climate of Bitcoin kind of retains itself, because this is how trading works. Trading is simply a game of waiting, of immense patience until a certain set of characteristics have been met. And when those characteristics are met, you have this pocket. I call it the pocket of action. You have this pocket of action within which you can make an unbelievable amount of positive EV trades across multiple assets. And in our case, across multiple altcoins or shitcoins or cryptos, right? And overall, they lead to a gain in your account value over time, which is why you've seen me kind of recall my own equity curve in front of you, where over time, this is about 16 months now, you can see a beautiful gain in equity despite a lot of immediate trades, if we look at any independent trade, being kind of sideways or downwards moving, because that's how trading works. So you have this market that's beautifully delivering, and one of the ways that you can screen is using the free screener, or you can use this screener right here, which gives you kind of the names that you want to focus on. And funny enough, look at some of the names here. Keep an eye on them. And then look at some of the names here. These are some of the names I've personally focused on and traded. Let me show you examples. SUI. Let me go back to the 2 hour here. This is something I've recently traded. I traded it back here as well, back in May, but this is where I traded it. I'm currently in this trade. I have my stop loss managed here, and I've taken a 50% partial here, and I've done very well for myself on this move. Here's Bonk USD. This is a move I took a break even on and took a loss on yesterday. Here's MOG USD. It's a trade that I didn't take, but it did deliver, and we had some people in the mentorship actually make money on this move here. Here's AAVE USD. I took a break even here. I took a small win here and a break even here. It did not end up working out for me. So still, even at the time of me making this video, a lot of the things I've traded haven't actually done like anything crazy. So I'm making this video at a time where I'm speculating and suspecting that the overall crypto market's going to retain this bullishness and this momentum, which means that over the next month or 2 months, you're going to see a lot of altcoins, including the ones right here, including the ones that I'm personally trading, create immense opportunity. This is how I personally scan for opportunity as well, quite literally. And this is how most recently I've been able to capture a really good opportunity for myself too. So what can you do? Well, here we have those given assets and those opportunities. What we can do is, you can see here, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to do this, but you can see here we have about 49 assets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this one, because this is looks like it's just an asset we're not going to look at. Just like if I type it in, you can see it's not even on Coinbase, which is where I trade things, and you can see it's relatively illiquid, so it's just a weird one that shows up. So I'm just going to eliminate it. You can see it's added to my global ignore list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set up a percentage value here to bring down the number of assets that are actually coming up right here. So I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe make this like above, let's say 10%. This is so all I'm looking for right now is I'm just looking to bring this number down big time. Maybe we'll look for stuff that's more liquid. Maybe let's make it like $9 million. So just looking for more liquidity. You can see we brought it down to 25, and we'll bring this up a little bit more, maybe up to like 15. That's a very big number. That should reduce this big time. There you go, yeah, big time reduction. So we'll bring this down to like 12 maybe. I just want to get it down to around 10. Okay, so maybe make it like 11. Brings us back up to 7. You know what? 7 is perfectly fine. So here we go. We have a list of 7 things, and I'm only doing this right now with only 7 so I can show you an example, but this in itself, just this list right here, is a list you can write down and keep an eye on, because you might be surprised how accurate this little program, screener, whatever you want to call it, tool becomes in actually finding the next big runners. Because the reality is, well, runners that are happening are runners that become future runners, right? This is like the rule I kind of have. So as I go through these, you'll actually notice I already have this one on my list. This is a beautiful mover. And if you think back to the rules that I just discussed, right? You have a move, it starts at stage 2, it flushes down to the averages, it moves higher, you buy a high. Here's an example of a trade that I personally would have taken for a break even. Now, I'm not going to go over every single trading rule that I have, because it's going to make this video go like 4 hours long, right? But very simply, the way I want you to understand this is that I have very simple break-even rules, but they're also very quick. I manage my trades and I manage my losses quickly. I get out of them, and I let my winners become big, right? So this is how I basically make an unfair advantage for myself in trading. And then you can see it breaks down again and starts this beautiful move. And again, buy, stop, a high. And all of a sudden what you'll see is you buy, stop, a high, you get in at this price as it comes and taps you in, and it's off and it never comes back. And you actually get a few opportunities like that. You buy, stop, a high, you buy, stop, a high, you buy, stop, a high. This one would have been a loss or a break even for me. You buy, stop, a high, you buy, stop, a high, you buy, stop, a high. And I want to show you this and put this in front of you, because this is what I call the entry cycle, or the entry time frame cycle. That's this guy right here, where price makes that stage 2 move, it flushes out, and very simply, these points become the buyable opportunities for this next stage 2. Stage 2. This is exactly the steps I use. So prior stage 2s and breakdowns create new stage 2s. And notice something important. A lot of mentors and people online are going to teach you that you have a structural move. So I'm just going to use my actual cycle here. This is the entry cycle that I use to explain this to you. You have a structural move, price breaks structure, Therefore, you must be bearish here, and you must seek liquidity here, and you must come and take out this imbalance, and you must come to fill this one, right? Everyone on some level is teaching you a version of this, or it's broken down, this is now support that turned resistance, we should see it go bearish, blah, 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 right? This is where a lot of information goes, you know, this is where when you see a market go sideways for a long time, it can work, right? And it can work really well, but I'm not here to trade the sideways markets, right? I'm here to trade where money is heading into, because when money heads into something, it creates the highest level of opportunity to get behind that money and then create an exuberant return for yourself where you can literally look back and say, holy shit, a crypto or GameStop, a stock, NASDAQ, Bitcoin USD, Syrup USD, Bonk Sui USD just made my year in one delivery. That's what I want you to focus on. So instead of going and seeing this thing where it breaks down, recognize that breakdowns, especially that look like this, is one of the most powerful bullish signals in the world. This is actually one of my biggest secrets that I hide from the fucking world. I can't believe I'm making this video. One of the biggest secrets is that breakdowns, and actually it's not actually a secret, right? Within the mentorship, just so you guys understand, this is literally taught as the, I'm gonna actually show you because I just do not care. I wanna show everyone. I would love to. It's just this lets me do it in a much better way. This is literally taught within the mentorship as what I call the, here we are, the anticipation of the higher low. Part of a cycle, an anticipation of a higher low is actually accumulation, reaccumulation, and the start of a new move. So what happens in prices, right, is you actually get what you see here. Price actually makes a leg, and within that leg, price breaks down, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's a bearish move, I can't believe it, or they start to give up. And those bearish moves are the ones that create the continuation of a bullish cycle. When everyone else is waiting for price to go lower, to come up and pause here and go lower, to come up to the resistance and go lower, to come to the high, take out the high for the random liquidity and go lower, and they don't realize what a trend actually does or how a trend actually functions. So I'm trying to give that and show that to you right now, where when price goes up and starts breaking down, that's for the purpose of going higher. When price goes up and then starts breaking down, or it looks like it's breaking down, it's for the purpose of going higher. And you can see just here alone, as that cycle starts, buying a high creates almost the most optimal entry. So whether you enter it like this, which is how I enter trades, or whether you enter like this with a bigger stop, you can see that you create positive EV opportunities for yourself if you have good risk, good management, and then you take money off the table as price moves into your direction, right? So this is why so many people that have found mentfx and stayed with and been with mentfx have stayed with mentfx. Wow, holy shit. And it's because they've understood the way that a market functions and the way to get behind a market and how to actually kind of take the reward and positive out of a delivering market, right? And maybe some of the people that are in the team that are watching this right now can maybe leave a little comment about that below, and I'll get back to all of you as well, because you guys know I love interacting with everyone. But nonetheless, right, these are your opportunities. These are your buy stoppable opportunities where you buy through a high, buy through a high, buy through a high, buy through a high, buy through a high. Not all are going to work, but these are the best opportunities and cases to do that. And even if this is something that we want to do, like notice, there's no way to get in this right now because there's no high to buy stop. So like for us to get into this somehow, what would price need to do? And you guys can check this out after the fact. This is live price. But for us to get behind this, we would need to see price maybe go sideways a bit. Let me show you an example. Maybe price goes sideways a bit. Right? Then we want to see price move higher, create some kind of nice move, pause, and then you can buy stop this high. And this is the opportunity that I would personally trade if it happened. Or it moves higher, it pauses up here, and you have an opportunity to buy stop in to make money on this stage 2 higher. And your money is made from this point here to this point here, or for some people it's from this point here to this point here, and maybe if you hold it onwards, you get one of these insane rippers that does something like this. And you get like this wild, wild move that you look back on and you're like, oh shit, this is what a trend is. And what's really cool is that even if trends fail, oh God, it's all over the place. This becomes action that is what we call untradeable. You have nothing to even do in these areas here, which is one of the most powerful things ever, because you start realizing that the only time you get in is you get in with other orders, and the only time that you don't get in is when shit goes and hits the fan. So what are some assets that we can look at? Well, here's a list of 7 that we can now consider. Now, one thing that we've done is we've interlinked everything with TradingView. So you just press export, you click symbol list, and now we have a list of those symbols. That would be these ones here. And what I can do is I can go in here and I can click import list, and I can import this list. I should have about 7 on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jesus Christ, we found 8. Oh, and it was this random one, this USD thing that is complete crap. So here we go. And you can see some of these were already on my list. But this is a list of things already. And again, you can go back and take a photo of when I had more on here to know what are the next big cryptos that could be runners. But these are an example of some cryptos that could become runners in the coming days. So now I'm going to do a very quick kind of analysis of these things to decide, if I should keep them on my list or not, because all I want to do is I want to find assets that are potentially worth buying in the future, right? That's it. All I'm doing right now, and I'm going to take you back to the portal material or the private material, because again, I'm more than happy to share a number of things, but I'll show you actually right now. But the portal material itself contains an unbelievable amount of information from the bottom up, right? So a lot of these videos publicly and for free are going to try to give you as much information as humanly possible. And if you want to go much deeper because you like the teaching style, then you have a place to do that. So you might not be fully confused. But what I want to show you here is that the way that you treat these things, let me find the relativity, is this rule right here. What you want to do at any given point, even right now, while crypto is super hot, is you want to build a portfolio in the moment, which is right now, of things you're willing to put risk on. So all this means is that have a small list, even if it's 5 assets, have a list that you've built through steps, through cycles, through labeling cycles, through understanding where the move is, that you've built that say, I'm willing to put risk on these things. Now, don't actually go and put random risk on shit, right? I want you to learn how to trade first, because anyone that does so before learning usually loses money. We've seen this 1,000 times. I've done it before. You've probably done it before, right? Everyone's done it. But what you want to do is you want to build a portfolio in the moment, which is right now, of things that you're willing to put risk on. That simply means that if things continue to move the way they're moving, if Bitcoin and cryptos continue to show this beautiful bullishness, which we're currently in, then these are the assets you're going to keep an eye on over the next month, over the next week, over the next few months to get behind them if this all retains. And then, over time, as days go on, you will have more things show up in the screener, right? And of course, you can also lower some of the settings to have even more things show up. But for the purpose of today's video, I'm just not doing that. So what I'll do, first of all, is I'll literally go to the daily chart and I'll start to kind of label where I am in a move. Now, here we have the first asset, and it's known as MOG USD. Here it goes, guys, the signal of a century and the video that tells you the truth behind what cryptos are going to make moves. MOG is something that appears to be extremely strong and very, very powerful. This thing created an overall accumulation, MB, and again, like I said, this will be in the description so you can use, not this thing. This thing will be in the description, so you can literally go ahead and use it and understand what part is what. Here's the accumulation MB. You can read about what it is and how it functions and why, and go back to this video, the one you're watching right now, and understand why I might have labeled things the way I have, because I'm trying to teach you how to label your own charts as well. And honestly, I'd love to have you guys go and label your own charts or use it on some of the markets that you didn't see yet. Join up for even a month just to see what's kind of inside here, and post some of your analysis and tag me. I would love to interact with you and help you understand and learn how to catch your own first big trade or big move, because, well, it usually happens, after you catch your first huge move, it changes everything for yourself because you start realizing what trading is about. But in looking at this, we have an overall market. We'll start with the C timeframe that has showcased actually a lot of bullishness. It came out of this accumulation MB all the way back here on the weekly lens, and went through a MMB phase throughout all of this, broke down for a little bit, and from this breakdown went into a beautiful, beautiful accumulation, MB, built an MMB1. So everything currently about this random MOG USD pair is actually showing us that the current steps of this is to continue stage 2 moves like so, or to pause and then continue stage 2 moves, which is great because that's the first foundation of what we want to do. So we are very bullish there. Now, as we look to the daily and we compare it to crypto's daily, Bitcoin's daily, you can see when Bitcoin had a very nice move, MOG USD also had a very nice move. This is the foundation of relativity. It's very simple. When Bitcoin started coming down, this thing also came down. So it moves pretty much and is currently moving within the lens of crypto. As crypto started this new accumulation MB is labeled here, this thing created an accumulation MB, as we can see here, and then it began to create MMBs. I'm gonna actually get rid of these labels just to make this really easy for you if you're following along with the thing I left in the description. But this right here would be what I would label as an MMB1. So very simply, price created momentum MB, which is in this case, first pause at the rising 5, 10, and 20 moving averages that created the first opportunities on a lower time frame to execute. And those opportunities to execute looked like exactly what we just discussed. Buy, stop, a high, buy, stop, a high. And you can see this kind of pattern that plays out where you have a move above the averages, a small pause, buy, stop, the high. A move above the averages, a small pause, buy, stop, the high. A move above the averages, a small pause, buy, stop, the high. A big move, a pause, buy, stop, the high, etc. It's the same exact thing. And every single time there's a pause, you buy, stop through the high, and that is how you create some of the most unfair risk to reward ratios, or small risk, big reward, or correct about a big move in the entire market. Notice how I'm not sitting here looking left. Where is the special high? Oh, there's a high. Let me draw the special liquidity high in here. We'll draw that out and we'll go left more, and then we'll find the, oh shit, the special imbalance of truth. There it is. If I draw that out, it'll really teach me the truth about the market. Hopefully I'll get there soon. Where is, oh shit, right? What the fuck? Like, again, I'm not sitting here giving you like this complex way to think about markets or think about what's going on. I'm trying to show you, almost maybe hopefully for the first time ever, that if you can start to pinpoint things that are moving in clean cycles, that you can then enter through the entry cycles and create unbelievable opportunities for yourself to actually trade, okay? So this created those beautiful opportunities. Let me go back to a daily so we can see that. That started those opportunities here at the same time that crypto started its bullish move. And since then, as we're now in this beautiful move, you can see that this thing is now currently going sideways. This is now in the process, as we like to call it, of creating a momentum MB2. That's it. So the next steps to this given asset at the moment, based on what we see here, right, in non-hindsight, just simply going through it, just simply seeing it, the same steps everything has done, is simply that we've had a stage 2, a delivery higher, a flush down to the 10/20 average, and the goal now is to see new demand come in. So let me show you that from the photo that you guys have. Here is the entry cycle. Here's what just happened. We've had our stage 2. Now, of course, the initial stage 2 was here. Stage 2, momentum MB, and these were all your opportunities. So this was a stage 2, flush, momentum MB, and opportunities. Now, where are we? We're probably around this point here, where you have price creating the MMB2, and price has now moved lower. Take a look at this right here. If I zoomed in, this is what we're currently looking like, or currently seem to be like, on this MOG USD. Price has made a stage 2 move. It has flushed down below the 20, flush down below the 20. There's a reason that I teach my team this way, and the reason that I label things and show things the exact way, because the same things have repeated for over 100+ years across all asset types: Forex, cryptos, ETFs, indices, futures, bonds, anything and everything, orange juice, other futures, etc., etc., etc. And all you have to do is understand it one time and start seeing it so you can start replicating it. So we believe that we're in the flush section right now, which simply means that if price starts to move above or through this flush and above the averages, the 10 and 20 specifically, then what's going to happen is opportunities will be created through the buy stops of highs, not through looking to the left, not through figuring out some special zone, but simply through the fact that we start creating MBs or momentum, and we trade that momentum higher. That's the opportunities that are created for us. And all of this, if you notice here, read this, is all, or this is MMB2, all of this here, this is why I've taught it this way, all this here is actually represented by this area right here, MMB1, MMB2, and that relates directly to the momentum cycle, the higher time frames, in terms of where you are. So you can understand how a pure trend can play out. And sometimes, if you see here, trends can fall short and stop early. That's gonna happen, and it can happen, which is why it's very hard to make a video like teaching beginners about how to predict assets, because they don't realize that a lot of predicting assets is actually being wrong and waiting for the opportunity to be right. But yeah, use this cycle in front of you. So everything about this has now pointed to the fact, I'm gonna go to the daily here, that we're in a momentum MB. And the next steps are very clear. Either we hold this momentum MB and we just keep on creating it over the next few days or over the next week or so, and then we start a move, right? Or we pause and we start a move faster. And this is the exact same moves that I'll be personally looking for and waiting for to execute. And the question then becomes, how do we execute? Well, you guys all know it now. We had the stage 2 move occur. There it is. What I believed was the flush here, where price started kind of going sideways and started coming out. I was ready to start buy stopping these areas, and you can see that created viable and good opportunities that then came back after making you around 4 to 5 potential risk rewards on your risk. And now we're building this momentum MB. So very simply, the steps that are going to lead to the next good opportunity is, like I said, if there's going to be a good opportunity, then you're going to wait for simply price to build the sideways or just go a little bit sideways, break up, pause, move higher, and use these areas to buy stop the high. That's how MOG might become a very big winner. Keep that in mind. Syrup. So MOG is something I would highlight and say this is actually a good market to keep an eye on. Now Syrup, when I come to it here on the 2 hour, the first thing I see is that there is no really stage 2. I'll go to the daily first to take a look, but when I look at the daily, the first thing I see is that while Bitcoin is in a very powerful bullish cycle, Syrup is actually in a bearish cycle and breaking down. And if you notice something really interesting about this asset, I've traded a few times. I took a break even inside of it here when I buy stop the high. I took a very nice win on it here when I buy stop the high and price did deliver. And you can see I didn't take the whole trade or whatever. I just simply played the stage 2 and actually was part of the portal material where we taught and walked through this idea and understanding of buy stopping highs, because it's one of the most powerful ways to make money in trends. But now looking at it, there is no stage 2, right? So there is no clear up move. There is no clear up move and breakdown that's then going to lead to something like this. So this is something that I would instantly likely take off the list. This is not in the kind of location that you would want to see an asset currently in. So Syrup is something that you wouldn't suspect to be a mover over the next few months, or at least a clean one. We'll get rid of it. With USD, dog, wife, hat. Now, the problem is when you make your life trading and your full-time job is trading like myself, it really sucks having to tell other people that I made all my money over the last few months or 6 months on something called dog wife hat. I sound like a joke, but at the same time, it's not about the name of the asset that leads to profitability. It's about the fact that the story of that given asset is one that is worth putting our risk on. So it might be with USD, it might be dog wife hat, it might be fucking Syrup USD or MOG coin or NASDAQ or GameStop or Tesla or a known big boy brand like whatever it is. But the point is, it doesn't matter what the name is, because all we're doing is repeating the same rules and looking for the same cycles on the stuff that is showing to be good. And currently the stuff that is showing to be good is potentially these here. So that's why we're looking at them. So back to wife USD. Let's take a look at the weekly first. The first thing I see about the weekly when I look at this, right, is that we had this beautiful bullishness, price broke down, started to sustain bullishness again, went into pure bearishness, and is now actually currently more so stuck inside this area. I personally think that if this whiff thing gets above or starts to push above maybe 1.3, 1.2, that you actually have a market that might be worth watching from there on a lower time frame. But right now, I think this is actually something that is showing quite a bit of weakness. So I would also remove this from the list as one of the things that I might watch for something to put my risk on. And I could go in here and actually remove it from here as well. Here it is, boom, removed. All right, it's very simple. And I'll show you, and you can also highlight this and you can go like this and you can add them to that list, right? So we'll do that after. So if we look at MOG here, that's one of the good ones. Then Muden. Again, I don't know what it is, but we're going through them step by step, and we're not using Twitter or someone else telling us. We're simply allowing our own analysis to tell us a story of if something should be watched or not. Now, this appears to be pretty good. On the C time frame, it's moved into accumulation, pure accumulation, started to build this MMB and is coming up out of it. So right now, everything on this also points to a delivery higher. Doesn't mean that we're going to trade it, but let's take a look at what it's doing on the validation time frame, otherwise known as the daily. It's moved into accumulation. It's moved higher and paused. And from here, it could have been okay to start looking inside of here for trades. I'm going to show you examples right now. Right inside of here, you can see you actually had opportunities, boom and boom, that actually led to big profits before it collapsed and went into a choppier market environment. Currently, this move has actually moved into a more choppy environment, while this move is still delivering in pure beauty. Even like MOG, pure beauty. So because of that, this is a weaker pair and something that I would not consider. Let's go to Bonk USD. This is beautiful. This is a market that is very, very currently strong, right? It's had this kind of one-sided bearishness here, and it's just come out of this area here as an accumulation. So on the daily, what's happened is you moved out of this accumulation, momentum MB, and currently everything about this points to upwards. And that's actually one of the reasons that I've traded it. Take a look. I took a break even on it here, and I took a loss on it yesterday, or like midnight. You can see, yeah, this was around midnight. I entered it around midnight and got taken out, took a loss on it around here. Now again, this is a beautiful looking market. What I would want to see on it to trade it is very simple. I want to see price break down a little bit, hopefully, pause, move higher, pause, and take the new buy stops through the highs. Again, creating environments where things are one-sided, things are clear, and simply, as they create the buy stoppable highs, I get into them. SEI USD. Let's look at the daily. So first and foremost, when I look at this, I see a little bit of a more wicky market. This reminds me more of what like FX pairs tend to look like. When I see wickier markets, or when I see a market that tends to look wickier, I tend to ignore it. But that's okay, because we can still take a look at it. So if I go to the week, so this did move into a very nice accumulation, probably around here. So again, it kind of, it follows kind of the overall pattern or move that a lot of these cryptos are going on. And on the V time frame, it moved into accumulation, built this kind of very, very loose momentum MB, built this kind of shitty move here that didn't really break down, started to move higher, but it did show a lot of strength, right? This showed a lot of strength higher here, paused, and showing a lot of strength now with the overall Bitcoin. And actually, it started building kind of a nice little pause here as well. So if we look at the 2 hour here, you'll see that price just kind of took off, re-broke down, and is currently just in this little area where, well, there's not much to do. However, if a move is going to set up on this, it's actually going to happen in the next 11 minutes. So this might actually be a move I trade. Maybe I'll give it one opportunity due to the fact that it's cleaned up a little bit and started moving more cleanly currently. So if I was to label this all, I just want to label this for you: accumulation MB, MMB1, MMB2, potentially MMB3. So it's in a very nice cycle here. And it does look actually pretty good. And if it can sustain this, then this should actually go for a little move here. So what I might do is right after this video completes, I actually will probably take this long where I will buy stop this high. Given that this candle closes like this, I'll buy stop this high because I actually think it looks okay. The only other option would be to, again, wait for a move that's higher and more clean, wait for a pause, and then buy like somewhere here. But I think this looks pretty good, so I'm actually probably gonna get behind it as I'm doing this analysis in this video for you guys. So I'm going to actually move this to mentfx, just my own list, and I'll actually probably trade this in the next, after 10 minutes. So when this candle closes, I'll set up a buy stop and I'll show you guys. My trade will look something like this. I assume I'll have this low protected here of this candle body. That's about 0.0075. Okay, so maybe I need to make it a little bit bigger. So I'll probably, yeah, I'll go for around a point. Here we go. I'll put it around this little gray line right here because I'm trying to make my stop equivalent to this ATR value right here. Okay, so I'll very likely get into this trade, and very simply, I'm going to manage it like I manage the rest of my trades. I don't buy a crypto or a coin or a shitcoin or an altcoin and hope and hold on for dear life until the rug pull and it's amazing, because I'm not thinking about that. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not in the rug pull space. I have no idea what people are doing. I don't even care. What I care about is the data and the assets. And currently this asset is actually showing quite a bit of strength and actually looks pretty good. So I'm willing to put on risk on this asset right here. I'll make it yellow so I know which one it is. And I'll set a little alert right about here for myself. Here we are. So I'm going to check this out literally after this video ends and take a buy stop on this, and then I'll manage it. And the management will be very simple. When I get tapped in, if the first candle does something like this, I'll move it to break even that day. If the first candle does something like this, I'll wait for the second candle. And if the second candle does this, I'll move to break even. If the first candle does something like this, comes down and maybe makes a wick, I'll maybe wait one more candle, and if it kind of just pauses here and doesn't do anything, I'll close the trade for a small loss. Otherwise, the worst case scenario is it instantly goes against me and I take a -1. And simply, the way I want you to think about this and start thinking about your own trading is that if I added SCI USD on today's date of the 14th, traded at whatever time, maybe like 8 p.m. tonight, and whatever stop, and let's say I took a -1, oh shit, how did that ever happen? I can't believe it. I want you to truly now recognize what that means for my own equity curve given the last 15, 16 months of data. It doesn't matter. If the trade is good, you take the trade because you know that your own statistics of your trades, your break-evens, your management, your losses, and your wins will pay for everything that you're doing, and you will make money over time because of compounding. And of course, this is at a 0.5% risk, but if I up this to a 1% risk of my account balance, you can see that your values can get a little bit insane. This is why I have people that I've worked with that have already turned 10K into 90K in the span of about 4 months. I have a guy that I'm doing an interview with very shortly that actually did that, and that was an 800% compounded return through basically an experience like this, where he's trading a little bit of a lower time frame and he caught some very nice moves during a very clean time. But it's not, this video is not about him, but it's just about the fact that this is how data and assets work. So even if this next trade that I'm about to take, let me go into my data here, does turn out to be a loss, I need you guys to realize and start thinking about trading as a mathematical thing rather than this like emotional, oh my God, SEI didn't work out. Because this thing will have multiple opportunities to work out in the future, given that this overall kind of trend and everything continues. And we have the last one, PopCat. This is, let's take a look at the daily. Again, same exact kind of steps. This is actually a decent looking market. It came up out of this accumulation, is coming up now as well. And the daily has moved into an accumulation and started an MMB1. So it's a little bit weak and it's a little bit behind, you know, kind of Bitcoin and even behind some of these other things. Like, you know, it's behind Bonk in terms of where it is. It's behind SEI in terms of where it is. It's behind MOG in terms of where it is, right? It's only recently started to show a little bit of strength. So for that reason, I would probably ignore this from my list. So now, all of a sudden, for all of you that somehow made it here, just given these filters where I'm only looking at 7 markets, where of course, if I take off this ADR and just make it like 5% or something, so some, you know, still huge moves, but make it 5% a day or more, you can see we can start increasing the amount of assets we look at, and you can use the exact same steps I just did on these assets to create a list of things that you could potentially take risk on, or build a portfolio of things you could potentially take risk on within this beautiful bullish crypto bull run, because those are the assets that are going to make nice moves. So now if you were to ask me, I would say that over the coming months, it's very likely that as Bitcoin, if Bitcoin continues to make its bullish crypto run, whether it happens now or a little bit later, MOG USD, Bonk USD, and SEI USD, a true trader's favorite, are the things that are going to look pretty good. And even at the end of this video right now, I will be, in 5 minutes from now, taking a buy stop on this. And again, I will only end up in this trade if price first moves up here and taps me in. Most importantly, the way to get into the best trends is to be there with other buyers, which is why I'm not sitting there randomly predicting zones and trying to find the perfect little low. I just get in with the overall action. Thank you all very much. These are the special little cryptos. We take all 3, we move them to the mentfx. We head on over here, and we keep a really close eye currently on SEI for a setup with my alert set. And I'll see you all in other videos. Also join up. If you're this deep into the video, there's no reason you shouldn't be a part of our team. Thank you all. Bye.